Okay, we are live. Good evening. I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and this is The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win. I'm joined tonight by my two co-hosts who have been missing in action, Miss G, Georgette Truman, and Miss Cassandra Woodard. Ladies, how are you doing?
We're doing good.
Okay. So it's an audio and video show, all right?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Okay. And I see we have a very lovely guest, Miss Cody Ott. Miss Ott, how are you this evening?
Oh, I'm good. Thank you for asking.
Good. So what state are you from?
I'm in Oregon.
Oh, really? What county?
I live in Clackamas County, and my children are in the Polk County area.
A couple of it seems like yesterday, but a couple of years ago I did a case in Oregon in Deschutes County.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of close to me.
And I just saw on my iPhone a notification of what the weather was in Redmond, because that's where I would land at the airport in Redmond. And I was thinking, where's Redmond? I couldn't remember offhand. Like, oh, that's in Oregon where I would land and go to court in Deschutes County. And I'm trying to think the name of the city. It was Deschutes County, but I can't think of the city now.
Bend is close to it and stuff.
Bend. It was Bend, Oregon. Yeah, that's where the courthouse was. In Bend. Lovely country there. And I saw the houses on the lake, on the river. Apparently those are going for millions now. Everyone was moving to Oregon during COVID. And the price apparently skyrocketed there. I was working with a local attorney who ended up selling his property and moving to Idaho. He said Bend was getting too crowded for him. Anyway, so this is Beat CPS, not Beat CPS.tv. This is The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win. So assume that you have some connection to CPS.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I do, for sure.
So what is your connection?
So in April, I took some notes just so I didn't miss anything. April of 2020, beginning, my children were taken from me, and I've been battling them ever since. And I got clean. At first, when the case started, I had no dirty ways, and I even passed a hair follicle test. But then COVID happened and stuff, and I wasn't able to prove that I was clean and stuff. And I did start screwing up. I didn't get to see my kids for 7 months. It was really hard. I've been clean now for over a year, 16 months. So, and I've done everything DHS has asked me to do. So it's been quite the battle with them. And I went to a termination trial. It started in April, and then it finished in May. And then they denied my appeal. So, yeah.
So were your rights terminated?
Well, they haven't officially been terminated. Last week I found out about this. But I also, there's been a lot of foul play in my case, and the attorney I ended up with, and I'll go over that with you. He was an awful attorney, and he didn't even talk to me, or I didn't even know he filed my brief. He didn't even tell me about that, and he didn't even tell me that the answer came back or anything. And some of the stuff that he put in there, I really questioned whose side are you on, because he put in, I don't know, he said that I admitted, or I agreed that I was unfit and likely to relapse. I never said anything like that, so it's unfortunate. My son's attorney agreed that the kids should come home, but my daughter's attorney did not.
So, but you said your rights weren't terminated yet.
Not yet. It's going up to the Supreme Court for review, but the attorney told me that more than likely they're not going to even look at it. So I'm thinking I'm about to finish the paperwork on filing a bar complaint against him. So I don't really know what steps I can take, but I have researched so many cases and people that are doing way worse than what I ever was, even during the duration of my case, and they're getting their kids back, and I'm just so confused because I've done everything and more than what DHS has asked me to do. I had very credible witnesses. I had a lot of them. So it's been a very frustrating process. They also claim that I have an underlying mental health condition that I won't admit to, even though I've already had 2 mental health evaluations, and I had a counselor at that time too. So it's very frustrating. I mean, this case has been going on for so long. There's a lot of details to it, you know, but I don't know where to start or what kind of information would be valuable for you to know, you know.
Well, tell me how you think that CPS has treated you unfairly in this case.
Um, so they gave us the minimal time, you know, to process the termination, you know, to ask for termination of my parental rights. And I've been asking for counseling with my children for well over a year and a half now, longer than that. They finally just started with counseling recently. I had gone to treatment like within the first 4 months and stuff that the case started and stuff, and I ended up going to a treatment center where my counselor was making some really, you know, inappropriate advances towards me, and my daughter came to stay with me, and he my daughter was terrified of him. He actually has 3 claims against him for sexual harassment and stuff, and like they even brought that up in court. And then the second time I went to treatment, I got COVID. So I mean, like, I don't think necessarily, I know that during the case notes and everything, the case notes that got submitted into court and stuff have been very misleading and not very honest. They took away my visits. They dropped me down on visits prior to trial, stating that that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to lessen the visits before trial, just in case the parents don't get the kids back. So I think the most frustrating part with DHS is the beginning of the case. I don't think they really had much of a reason to. They said indicating drug behaviors, and they took my children from me. I've been clean, and I just don't feel like they really took into consideration how hard I have fought to get my kids back and all that I have done. Because I did go to treatment, I did all the services that they asked me to do. So what I'm not understanding is how my rights got terminated, I guess.
Well, generally, the way it works, at least here in California and in most states, because everybody follows the federal regulations, up to a certain point, say 12 or 18 months, they are mandated to give you family reunification services. And after
Mm-hmm.
that period of time, if you don't reunite with the child um, or the children, they terminate your family reunification services. Now, that particular hearing, and hopefully you had a trial at that time, is a very important hearing. You need to call witnesses and all type of stuff. But once that happens, and you lose your reunification services, they set what they call in California the termination hearing. It's a 366.26 hearing. It's probably a different number in your state. But at that
Mm-hmm.
time, the only question becomes, would it be detrimental to the child if your rights were terminated? And what
Mm-hmm.
happens a lot of times that, after kids have been with the foster parents for so long, they've reattached, they formed a bond physically, emotionally, psychologically with these foster parents. And,
Yeah.
it's unfortunately, it's easy to prove that your rights should be terminated under the new laws, and I call the new laws that since 1989, 1990, where President Clinton passed, laws that changed the termination of parental rights. Before that, in California, you couldn't terminate a parent's rights without going through a separate case called a Civil Code 232 action, where the county or the CPS actually had to file and prove a whole new case against you. And it slowed down adoptions or termination of rights and adoptions by kids or by foster parents. But when President Clinton passed the new law, it made termination really easy. So they terminate your rights so fast and make your head spin. And most of the people that I speak to, parents, you know, they don't they don't believe it. They don't believe it's America. They don't do like that. They have the same reaction that I had when I was a third year lawyer. A guy I worked with said he was going to go do juvenile dependency cases. And I said, "What's that?" Because I had never heard of it. And he said, "Oh, that's where they take kids away from parents." And I'm like, "Oh, come on, Mike, that's impossible. Being a parent is such an important constitutional right." I didn't believe him, and I was a lawyer. And I happened to run into him maybe 3 months down the road, and he came back in the office to finish a project, and I said, "Well, so how's that juvenile dependency thing going? They still taking kids away from parents?" I was kinda joking about it, and he was like, "Yeah, every day." I go, "Every day?" I don't believe that. But anyway, um, hey, Miss G, can you pick up the conversation for a second? I have an emergency phone call coming in.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, Cody, go ahead and tell us more about what's going on in your case right now.
Okay. So I will say, like, I'm sorry, I get kind of nervous. I don't know why to, be speaking of, I guess, publicly. I don't know why I get nervous, so I apologize. But some of the things too that were in my case that was, I feel not correct. I don't know if it's normal for the bio parents and the foster parents to not have any form of a relationship or any contact. I don't know if we're not able to be a part of our kids' life, like their, school things or anything like that. I don't know if these things are things that are not allowed in cases. I mean, I've never been a threat to my children or anything like that. I feel pretty like pushed out of their lives, from
How
the
old are
beginning.
your kids? How old are your kids, Cody?
My daughter's 4 and my son's 12.
And when they removed your children, what was the allegation?
Um, um, indicating behaviors of drug use. And so I think honestly,
Did somebody
what had
report you?
started,
Did somebody
I'm
report
sorry,
you?
what?
Did someone report you?
So they told us that the community has concerns that you're using, and they said that they were non-disclosed or anonymous calls that they were concerned that we were using. I was in drug court and I was getting clean UAs and stuff. I even was doing outpatient treatment, and unfortunately with COVID, you can't prove that you're clean because they stopped doing UAs and all that kinds of stuff, and then also, so one of our friends, she relapsed after 10 years, and we took her 3-year-old son in, and she wasn't complying with DHS. I had a prior case like years and years ago, and so they opened a case on me, and then they took him away from my care. And then like 2 months later, even with no UAs against us, they came and took our children. And so like in January, prior to that, my daughter, she like got a hold of a little piece of Suboxone, I'm sorry, and I fished it out of her mouth, and I called the emergency room and stuff, and I was like, "What should I do?" And they said, "Well, you just have to help her get through it." all. She was fine. She just was like really tired. You know what I mean? So I didn't take her to the emergency room.
Okay, Cody, come down for a second, okay?
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand something. What did your daughter put in her mouth?
It's a Subutex.
What is that?
Oh, so when you have like a heroin addiction or something like that, that's what they give you. It's like a medical aid for helping people with like addiction problems.
Gotcha. So this is something you literally take for yourself.
Yeah.
And your
Yeah.
daughter got a hold of it. How did your daughter get a hold of it? Was it on the counter? How?
So my husband was running out the door to work, and he broke it in half, and he set it up on a speaker in our living room, and somehow it got bumped off of there. And when she was playing on the ground, I was sitting on the couch, and I seen her put something in her mouth, and I just automatically went over there and fished it out because her face, she got such a funny look on her face, like, what the heck is that? So I went, I fished out of her mouth, and that's how she got it. She didn't swallow it or anything. So,
Wow.
and that was in January, and then they came and opened the case on us in April.
How
they
they
waited
find?
a whole month? Oh,
How did they find out about that?
she took
I have no
the
idea.
child, but didn't you say you took the child to the hospital?
No,
I
she just
called.
called.
Oh, you called.
Yeah, I
Gotcha.
called like an advice nurse, the emergency room, and they're like, there's nothing we can do about it. You just have to sit it out with her, you know. So I just pushed fluids and I fed her and stuff, and she was really cranky, and then she fell asleep. So I stayed with her the whole night, and I made sure she was okay, you know. So yeah.
Well,
And you
that's
said-
weird. How did they find out then, Vincent? That's a good question. I mean,
Well, she called the nurse,
right, but she
and
didn't
then
give them the name.
no, but well, maybe not. But they have caller ID and stuff.
The one thing
get-
I had a friend stop by, and I asked her, I was like, what should I do? So I don't know if it was her, but I mean, I would hope that it wouldn't have been, you know what I mean? But who knows?
It was probably the nurse, and they traced the call, and they found out it was you.
Yeah, maybe yeah, I
No,
don't know.
if that nurse were in California, she'd be a mandated reporter, and she would have to report that. Go ahead, Cassandra.
Yeah.
You said you and your husband. So does your husband have the same allegations you do? Or you guys
Yeah.
have the same, or did they have him at all for anything, or?
No, that was the same allegations. And he has a pretty lengthy criminal record from a long time ago, but like nothing at that time. And they also in trial, I think the reason why at first the judge seemed to really like us. We did 4 days of trial, and then we took a break and came back in May. But during that time, at the end of the first set of trial, my caseworker at the time, she turned in all of her case notes. We go back to trial the second half, and the judge had a totally different outlook on us. They mentioned alleged child abuse, which never happened, and that got cleared up. And so within the whole 2 years of my case, that had never been brought up. They also brought up in trial domestic violence, but in the whole entire 2 years of my case, that was never addressed, that was never spoke of or nothing, you know. So I feel kind of like, to me, that judge established opinion with those kinds of allegations, and that's what I think some of that stuff, you know, really hurt my case. And then it's saying that I had an underlying mental health issue that I wouldn't admit to. I don't think that helped either. There's a quite a few. This is actually the pages on it. There's over 1,000 pages all together with all the transcripts and everything like that, and all the papers from DHS. And I don't know if I said this one either, but prenatal exposure to drugs. I literally found out I was pregnant and I quit in a week. I mean, the safe way.
Okay.
What
Can I ask you a question real quick, if you don't mind?
Of course.
When you were doing drugs, what was your drug of choice?
I was about
It
to
was
ask.
opiates, opiates, and a little bit of methamphetamine sometimes, mostly opiates. I never
Okay.
shot up or did anything like that. I smoked it, and you know, I messed with it every once in a while. And of course, you know, no mother should be doing that and stuff or whatever. When I at the time my kids were taken, that was not an issue. It became an issue when I lost my children. I was really hard to go through, you know, and I had been clean for a while around that time period too, until I lost my children.
Wow. Are the kids placed in a foster home or family members?
They're in a foster home. I don't have any family. We're just
And
my
what about,
husband.
so the 12-year-old and your young child are both together in the same foster home?
Yes, my son, his father passed away in 2016 from his addiction, drinking and stuff. So
Wow. Um,
yeah.
okay. The foster home the children are in, is that an adoptive foster home or just for placement? Do they want to
Um,
adopt the children?
they do. She can't have her own children. And ever since they have not been there the whole entire time, but she's really clinged on to my daughter, you know. I mean, she's like a baby pretty much, you know. So it's been quite the challenge. I mean, I'm glad they're in a good place, of course, you know. My son today pulled me. I just had a visit. I'm actually at family's house, or well, like they're not blood, but I just had a visit with my children in Salem, and so I'm here. My son pulled me aside when the DHS, you know, supervisor wasn't in the room. We went into the kitchen together, and he went out of his way to come over there and be like, "Mom, I'm sorry this happened. I don't want this to happen. I want to come home." You know, it's just, it really sucks. You know, I worked really hard. I've gone to like um 2 sets of parenting classes. I've gone to treatment. I've passed treatment. I mean, I've done everything that they've said for me to do, you know, and all these witnesses and stuff. I had really good witnesses that testified on my behalf. And during trial, the judge asked, "What would you like to see from her to give her children back?" And she said, "At least 6 more months of clean time." You know, and so if they're sitting there saying something like that, like, I just don't understand. Like, they know I'm a good mom. The worker never said that I'm a really good mom. That's one thing that's kind of hard to understand, is nobody said that I was a bad mom until the appeals started happening and stuff. And the state tried to say that, but not my caseworker, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So we have a huge bond. My kids and I, we love each other very much, especially my son and I. We've been through a lot together, you know. My mom died, his dad died. Like, it's been kind of hard sometimes, you know, but we've always been really close. So he's having quite the hard time with this.
How was the foster family with you? How did they treat you?
They're really nice. We used to actually have video visits, and the foster family, or the foster parents, you know, when the kids first came in, they would be like, "What do we do with him? He's crazy sometimes." And you know, we would talk for a little bit, but then DHS put an end to that. So I don't.
How did DHS find out? How did DHS find out?
Because they would we were trying to figure out a schedule, because Riley started a sport or youth camp or youth group at night or something like that. So they set up the schedules, and then we did the schedules together. So when she asked to figure it out with me, she said, "Okay, well, how about we just go." She took that as like it was an issue, my caseworker, and she's like, "Okay, well, let's go back to supervised visits then, or let's go to supervised visits then." So that's how that happened. They were really nice people and stuff. However, it worries me that I mean, I live in Clackamas County now, you know, it's pretty far away. It worries me, her true intentions. I think she has a hard time with the situation that I'm the mom. You know what I mean? Because she's really close to my daughter. They took her out of preschool, and they did have a good bond, you know. So I'm
Yeah,
not
well,
allowed to.
that's the sad part. They bond the children with strangers, and then they completely disregard the parent. And I understand we all make mistakes. You made a mistake, you regret it, but again, you're a good mom. And you know better not to put medicine or anything in front of your, outside in the open at all. When you have kids, you don't do that
Oh
at
yeah.
all, not even Tylenol. Um,
Uh-huh.
However, in my head, in my heart, I believe that the department is trained to get help for the parents, right? Get them help that they need to clean them up and then reunify them with their children. But what do? They distance the parent, they alienate the parent from the children until the children is bonding, until the children bond with the foster family. And then the judge says, I'm reluctant, to remove them because now they have a bond. But they had that bond with the mom. So
Yeah.
to me, it's very confusing, extremely confusing. And what I've also noticed is that when you win an appeal, I know you lost yours, but I have someone, I can't say her name, almost did. She just texted me right now and she said that her son won the appeal. She was shocked. Her son was shocked, but she doesn't know what to do after that. They won the appeal, but she doesn't know what to do. Do they get their kids back? Do they not get their kids back? And oftentimes I hear people that win appeals, they don't get their kids back. Even when the
Mhm.
judge says there's an order to return the children, for example, the social workers don't return the children. And
Yep.
then the sad part about it is the judge doesn't hold the social worker responsible,
Yeah, for sure.
accountable for what he or she is doing. So, I mean, that's my understanding of what CPS is supposed to do is reunify the children with parents, even if the parent is having a drug issue. Am I wrong, Mr. Davis? Or
No, you're correct. But one of the things is that the parent with the drug issue has to, make sure that they resolve that drug issue by going to the counseling, going to the parenting, that type of thing. Not and doing the testing. Now, what is
Yeah.
interesting to me is our guest has said that she's finished all that and done all that, and they still didn't, return the children to her.
right?
I
So that's a
provided
little
certificates and everything.
Did they
So
do a hair follicle test though, if I may
yeah,
ask?
I passed it. And that was at the beginning of the case too, and I passed it. Um, I'm sorry, I totally forgot what I was gonna say. But yeah, I've worked pretty hard, and I totally get time is of the essence and everything like that. COVID shut everything down in Oregon. I don't know how it was with California, but literally the bare minimal, bottom of the barrel treatment centers were open. There was like nothing open. I literally sat on the side. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Portland and their homeless crisis. I literally sat downtown in Portland waiting to get into Hooper, a detox center, with people that were like, just shooting up right in front of me and stuff. And I was so uncomfortable, but I did it, because I wanted my kids back. And unfortunately, there's state ran treatment centers that were left open. And if there's something wrong with those treatment centers, that doesn't get addressed. You know what I mean? And it's unfortunate because there's a lot of places that have good potential, but COVID made it very hard. So I would have insurance in one area, and then I would find out where a bed was. I would switch my insurance. By the time my insurance switched over, the bed would be gone. You know what I mean? So I went through that process probably like 3 or 4 times. So
But
which
Mr. Davis mentioned on the show one time that they're making COVID an excuse. They were making COVID as an excuse. Am I right, Vincent?
correct.
Yeah, it
it's just
shouldn't be an excuse. That's not an excuse because they go remove children. They went remove children in COVID, doing COVID without a mask, by the way, and but yet they're talking about, oh, you can't see your child because of COVID. Well, you went and took the child without a mask during COVID. So I feel
and
like
put them in
COVID is
foster care.
ending. Yeah,
Yeah. Put them in foster cares where they're going on outings all the time with their children to their families' houses. My kids have had COVID 3 times because they don't take precautions at all. You know what I mean? And it's sad. Today, the grandmother that I ran into today during the visit, she said, I don't know what to do anymore. We've done everything asked about. It's kind of a tough area. She said, we've done everything asked. This case has gone on for too long, and my daughter is falling apart. Like, I'm afraid she's going to start using again. I got her phone number and stuff, and I did tell him a little bit about you guys and stuff like that, and it's just crazy to me how, I don't know. It's sad, really. I think that my kids are going to grow up and notice how different they are compared to the foster parents, and they're not going to want to. They're going to miss their mom and want to come home. You know, my son doesn't even want to be there right now. So I don't know. It's so
Cody, they did a
frustrating.
study. They did a study last year. I read about it. They said that even if the children are in an abusive home, not abusive as in like beating them and burning them with cigarettes and all that, or you know what I mean, or keep them hungry for days, but I'm talking about discipline, like parents who discipline the children who are really tough on them or what have you. They said that the children still grow up healthy.
Yeah.
Like they literally grow up in productive in a productive
Mhm.
way where they're good members of society. However, when you remove a children, especially from the mom, now well, I'm not discarding the fathers at all in any means, but there's a bond between a mother and a child that no man can ever experience, ever.
Right.
So when you remove that bond from a home and the child doesn't know how to, the child is missing a lot, right? It's
Mhm.
missing a whole lot because children don't know how to gather information the way adults do, right? So they're
Mhm.
like confused, but all they want to go back is to mom, 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 right?
Yeah.
However, that traumatizes the child and makes the child become violent, makes the child depend on drugs, makes the child like literally most of the jail facility is full of previous foster children, just so you know.
Yeah.
Because when
Right.
they grow older and they grow out of the system, they retaliate
Yeah.
because they're missing something. You took them away from what they know. That's their safe place, right? Their safe place. Foster homes or CPS was not designed for that originally. It was like designed for orphanage. You know, when
Yeah.
parents die or no family, you know, there's an orphanage where people go adopt, you know, to take care of the children or what have you, especially people who can't have children. But it's a completely different dynamic like attorney Davis mentioned earlier. It's now they're using it as profit and money.
Oh, I
um
know.
it, it's crazy
Mhm.
how much money they receive. However, what I've learned throughout all this with CPS is that they will not place children, or they refuse to place children in a foster in a family member home unless that family member becomes a foster parent. Now, I asked one of our attorneys in our office before. She said to me that's because the incentive is much more when the child is placed with a foster home in a foster home. And if it's the child is adopted, it depends on the child's age, they make more money. So it's all about
Mhm.
money. Because since when, as children, do we go to grandma's house or auntie and uncle and say, "Oh, auntie, you have to be a foster parent in order for mommy and daddy to leave me there," you know, until they
Right.
go to the movies or whatever. But now they're making it more so, and they don't address the aunt or uncle as a foster, as the aunt or the uncle or the sibling. They address them as foster parents in the court
Yeah.
documents. They never say this is the aunt of the child or this is the uncle of the
Mhm.
child. They always say
Yeah.
foster parent. And I never understood that until one of our attorneys, like I said, explained it to me. And then I start researching, and I realized the millions of dollars that a social worker, I mean, entities, CPS entities get a year. It is so much money. That's
Yeah.
why the state court is so used to having this humongous amount of money coming in. They don't do anything about it. They really don't
Yeah.
do anything about it. So the parents, in the meantime, the parents lose their mind. They can't function. It's like they want them to stop doing drugs, but then they traumatize them to the point where they want to go back to drugs, so they can numb the
Mhm.
pain. And that's how the system works.
Yeah.
Um, but for most of you guys, you know, I'm against drugs. I don't like alcohol, don't like drugs in any way at all, because I believe drugs does numb you and it does take away from reality. And but we all make mistakes, like I said, but that's not a reason to punish you, to take your children from
Not
you.
forever. No, not forever. I feel like that 1997 the Adoptions and Foster Family Act, the one where that was passed, that initiated a $4,000 to $6,000 per child cap or whatever to agencies. I don't know if the I was looking at the numbers and I feel like they have gone up a little bit. I mean, considerably a bit actually, and that's just it goes to show that it's about money and stuff. Uh, there's a lot of allegations during my case that I'm like, I just don't even know where they come from, or I don't even know, like, I've worked really hard, to get my children back, and I
So
feel
did
like
you?
there's like a kind.
You said
I'm
you
sorry,
appealed
what?
it, or no? You say you appealed it or no?
So I appealed it, but
Uh,
some of the things that appeal attorney put in that brief, I was shocked. I was like, and some of this stuff was not accurate, and I really think he set me up for failure. For some, I don't know. There was some kind of confusion too, where he said that no, his assistant or his legal assistant said, "Oh, so and so is going to be taking over our associate attorney. His associate is going to be taking over. He's going to be doing all the research and drafting and blah 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 blah." The only time I ever heard from the original attorney was to tell me, "No, that's not true." I don't even know if he did draft it. I contacted him numerous amounts of times, no replies or anything. I sent him an email saying, "When's this brief going to be done? I want to see it." Know. He never went over it with me or anything, and he just sent it. November 22nd, it was finished. He was finished with it. January 17th, I got a phone call from my husband because he's in prison right now from old charges. And my husband's like, so I got your attorney's brief, and it says that you admitted that you are unfit and more than you're likely to relapse. And I was like, are you serious? And so I called the attorney and I said, you didn't even send it to me. You didn't even tell me. You didn't even go over it with me. You know what I mean? And he had no response. He just sent it to me, and that's it. So when I saw the response from the appeals court, he mentioned guardianship, and because guardianship was not something that we were talking about during trial, that's pretty much what they talked about in the denial. You know what I mean? And he knows as an attorney, if it wasn't brought up in trial or during trial or whatever, then it doesn't get involved in the appeal.
that
So
is true.
I don't know why he even mentioned that. He said that I was just enrolled in, I don't even know the name of the place, and I was almost finished with treatment. And so I don't know where that came from, but he had so many facts that were completely wrong. I had another question too. I almost forgot to ask you this. So they have my kids had a psychological evaluation from the children's place, I believe it's called, in Portland. They never included me or told me about it at all. They had the foster parents there and stuff, but aren't they supposed to notify the parents of that? When I read about the children's place, it said with the parents, the parents, go in with the child and they evaluate that situation. They didn't even tell me. They gave me the results for it, and they pretty much, it's just somebody that the DHS uses all the time. And so, don't they have to tell me about that kind of stuff?
Attorney Davis, that's a question for you.
I think they do. Yeah,
They
absolutely.
didn't tell me. Okay.
But the thing about it is, Cody, like I said earlier, court appointed attorneys do not help their clients. The reason for that, and I said this many times, they get paid by the state. The state pays them. They're not free, you guys. They're not free. Nothing is free. Well, Costco samples are free, but you know what I mean. It's always a marketing strategy to get you to buy. But with the court appointed attorneys, their strategy is to fail you as a parent. Fail you. Because if they really love their clients and believes in parenthood, they would not do what they do. But
Yeah.
what I've learned throughout my life with Attorney Davis is that most clients, even when they hire us, some clients, I shouldn't say most, some clients, they don't listen to the attorney and they sabotage their own case, right? Even though they have hope to get their children back, they stop that from happening by their behavior, right? So our attorneys always advise the client, listen to me, listen to me, listen to me, blah, 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 do what I'm telling you, don't speak, etc., etc. Clients always damage their cases. God knows I've been through hell twice with a client. Oh, God. She sabotaged her own case. But with the court appointed attorneys, they actually sabotage the case for you. Do you see the difference? Do you understand what
Oh,
I'm
I
saying?
would believe that for
Right.
sure.
So there's parents who actually killed the chances of them having their kids because they pay all this money, they want to do it their way, and then lose and then blame it on the attorney. But with the court appointed attorneys, they actually want you to lose because according to them, they have a lot of cases. But you wouldn't have a lot of cases if you are actually fair when you remove a child. So don't neglect the children who are really abused and focus on the children who are not abused because they're healthy and they're easily adopted.
Yeah.
And then the ones who are being abused, they're kept there because they're damaged goods. Nobody wants to adopt that. No one wants to adopt those type of children. And they
Yeah.
specifically come, foster parents who want to adopt specifically ask for a specific child. I want a biracial
Yeah.
child. I want a blonde and blue eyes child. I want a child who's 4 years old, or I want an infant, or I want a 2 year old or a 1 year old. So
Yeah.
foster parents are now going into it as business, which is cheaper for them to adopt.
Yeah.
And they don't have to have $50,000 to adopt, like, the good old days where you have to go spend a lot of money to adopt a child. Now they have it for free. An
Yeah.
adoptive, yeah, an adoptive orphanage home told one of the people, one of the ladies that went to adopt her and her husband to become a foster parent to adopt the cheapest way. And I
Yeah. That's
actually talked to
crazy.
them. They're actually watching the show right now. So when they told me this, I realized that, oh my God, they're actually making this more of a business. They're literally implementing that. Hey
Yeah.
guys, go steal somebody else's child. It's free when you become a foster parent.
Yeah.
That's insane. So go become a foster parent, adopt, right? And then you got your free gift right there.
Oh,
So
yeah.
what foster parents do, they become nice at first with you as a parent to get you to trust them. Then, believe it or not, they really do have a bond with the social workers. These people don't trust them. You guys tend to trust people who are nice to you, but they're nice for a reason. You understand? They're nice for a reason.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of stuff you guys don't understand, but the strategy is either to fail you or to help you win the case, depending on your case. Does that make sense? There's two
For sure.
different strategies. There's a failure strategy and there's a winning strategy. So our attorneys use the winning strategy part. Get it? The client
Yeah.
uses the negative strategy, the failure strategy, along with their court
Yeah.
appointed attorney.
Hey,
My.
Cody,
Yeah.
hold on a second.
Yeah.
We're moving towards the end of the show. I apologize for that. Were there any specific questions you wanted to ask today or this evening?
Well, I was wondering, you can't appeal an appeal, right? You
Oh,
can't
no, you
like,
can.
Yes,
No,
you
you
you can,
can.
you
Yes.
can't, or
So
can.
CAN.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. The dishwasher is being loud. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so I'll give you the scheme in most states, well, in California at least.
Okay.
You're at the trial court level where you actually did your trial in front of a judge. You lost. In California, the loser has an automatic right to one appeal. So
Oh, really? Okay.
you were the loser, so you appealed. Now, at that stage, let's say the Court of Appeals rules against you. You can still take what they call a writ. It's a sort of an appeal to the California Supreme Court.
Okay.
Okay. If you lose there, theoretically, you can take your appeal to the United States Supreme Court. But that's called a writ as well. Usually it's called a writ of certiorari, or, the slang is writ of cert. Okay.
Okay.
So you can appeal quote unquote, by an appeal or writ, several levels. You're not just, stuck with that one, appeal. So
Okay.
that is the way it is in California. I would guess that it's like that or something similar to that in your state. But you'd want to talk to your attorney about it, right?
Well, I don't trust that appeal attorney. I wanted to file a pro se brief, to go along with his pro se brief, but he didn't give me the opportunity because he never told me when he filed it. So I didn't even. By the time I found out about this, it was too late, and he discouraged me from doing so, which I understand what his reasons were. But if I would have seen that brief and stuff, for some reason I thought that the right thing's gonna happen, and it didn't. And I know that I don't trust CPS. I don't trust CPS attorney. I'm sorry, court appointed attorneys and stuff. But I applied for the state bar, to get another attorney to look into my case or whatever. But are they pretty much the same thing? Like at that point, I would pay, but not as much. But are they kind of the same thing or not?
They, well, it's hard to say. Kind of the same thing, probably yes. Exactly the same, probably no.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends.
Okay.
Any other questions you had for us?
So when I file a complaint with the Oregon State Bar with this attorney, the lady on the phone told me that works for the Oregon State Bar. She said that that's going to waste my time, that nothing's done with those claims. Is that true, or did nothing gets done with those claims? They don't get investigated?
Oh, I can't tell you the answer to that because I can't tell you what the Oregon State Bar does or doesn't do. I don't know anything about that.
Okay. And I was watching.
I know in California they would investigate it.
That's what I was thinking, because like some of these things are pretty messed up. My children, when they went into state custody, they're beautiful, first of all, and they were very well behaved. And now sometimes I'm shocked by what I see, and it's not just that, but like I feel like this attorney wasn't even hearing me or anything like that, and it sucks because I don't know what to do anymore. But Miss G, right?
Yes.
Is your name is? That's what I thought. I watched one of your videos the other day, and you were saying that there's actual CPS attorneys, right? That specialize in CPS stuff, and that's what you guys specialize in, correct?
Yes.
Well, in California, they call it the specialization is a unique term of art in the legal world. They don't have a specialization in juvenile dependency /CPS law. They don't offer that specialization. So we're not allowed to say we're specialists, but we are allowed to say we are allowed to say that we are experts. And I saw that look on your face, Miss G. It's a very serious thing with the State Bar of California.
I just remembered that. That's why I had that look on my face. You're right. I have to be careful.
Please don't tell people that we're specialists.
Right.
The State Bar frowns on that.
Maybe she didn't say it like that. I don't know for sure. I mean,
I don't know.
I would say, hold on. I would say I'm an expert, and specialist expert. What's the difference to the common man or the common woman? Probably nothing, but it's a big difference with the State Bar of California.
Oh, wait. I remember now. I said there's two different types of attorneys. There's the family law attorneys who specializes in family law, but there's also juvenile.
See, you're using the word specialist.
Okay. Davis, we have two sets of attorneys in our office. We have juvenile attorneys and we have family law attorneys, right? So juvenile attorneys are experts in juvenile cases, correct? And then family law are experts in family law cases. You don't send the family law attorney to do a juvenile case, and vice versa. Am I right?
You would be right, unless
you're the only one that I know that does all types of cases. Okay,
I don't do all types of cases,
but you go to a lot of hearings.
Hey, Cassandra, should I just mute her now?
Mute me. But Cody,
Yes.
instead of okay, we have experts.
You guys know what's going on in the CPS world with the
There you
law.
go. There you
Okay.
go.
So, if you guys don't practice, you do practice in Oregon or you don't? Both of you. Yeah?
I get, like I said, I did a case in Oregon a couple of years ago. I
Okay.
can obtain special permission to go to Oregon to do a case, and I have done that in the
That would
past.
be awfully expensive, I bet. Cause like, so if I were to, get somebody to look at my case, this is what I'm interested in doing. Cause I mean, I have a lump sum to do so, right? But I'm scared of retaining and doing all that stuff, showing them my stuff, and then them being like, oh, well, you got a case, or oh, we can't do anything. You know what I mean? So that's what makes me nervous. But I really want somebody to look into this stuff. So, and from watching a lot of your guys' videos and stuff, you guys seem to know what you're doing and everything. So is that an option, or you know what I mean?
The, may
Or
I
should we talk about
speak?
this later?
May I speak on that one?
Yeah.
There is an option. Um, there is where you can hire Davis to represent you in your state. However, he would have to get approved a Pro Hoc Vici, which is for him to allow him to go to that state to represent you. Right? The judge have to sign
Mhm.
on that. Now that takes about 3 weeks and sometimes more.
Mhm.
So the faster the better. But don't think that it's going to be a day or a week. It's not going to
Right.
be like that. It takes a while to be approved. So therefore, you have to act on it immediately. If you want Davis to travel there and handle your case and everything about your case, it's going to cost a lot of money
Right.
because he has to leave. He has to take a flight. He has to stay
Yeah.
there. I mean, all expenses has to be paid because we offer
For sure.
services right for people. Now that's pretty costly. Pretty costly.
Right.
If you want Davis to help you, coach you, and consult you on how to handle your own case with alongside your court appointed attorney, meaning there's a way to address your court appointed attorney. So Davis will be working with you one on one.
Mhm.
Depending on the retainer amount, it would be, for example, if it's 1,500, then you divide that by the hourly rate of Attorney Davis, and that will give you the hours of the work between you and Attorney Davis. So the higher the
Right.
number, the more hours you have with Attorney Davis. So you would have his cell number, you would have his availability 24/7. And Davis does respond to text messages, just not mine, but he does respond to text messages. You know,
Okay.
other people, I have to pay him, I guess, to respond to mine. But and no, but put jokes aside, honestly, he does respond. He does respond. He takes that very serious, and I do respond too. So a lot of people text me, and I know some of you guys on the show right now, Gigi especially. Once she texts me, I answer immediately. Deidre the
Nice.
same
Okay.
way. Yeah. So basically, I'm hands on because my thing is, like I told you guys before, my goal is to make sure parents have their children back. So I don't mind answering messages at 9:30 at night, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. It doesn't matter. As long as you guys
Mhm.
have the answers or the help that you need to move forward. And that's my goal, is for you guys to get your children back. So those are two options for you, Cody. If you want to discuss it in depth, I'll be happy to speak with you about it after the show.
Okay.
I'm gonna put my number in a private chat. Do you see the private chat? You see that on the right
It's
hand?
right over here. I think I see. I'm actually my laptop mic wouldn't work, so I'm in my phone. So let me see, and it's almost dead too. So let's see. I don't see the. Oh, I see it right here. Okay.
Okay, so I send you my cell number on the private chat, and if you
Okay.
can just be kind enough to text me tonight and just say Cody. Oh, I
She
think
pressed
she.
the back button.
Yeah, I think she. Yeah, she
I know
did.
exactly what she did. She pressed the back button.
I know. I'm so sorry, Cody. Oh boy, but she knows what to do. She hopefully she saw the number.
Yeah.
But yeah, But also, Mr. Davis, I know we're coming to the end. Deidre wants you to answer her question, but before Deidre, I want you to answer Gigi, because Gigi and I communicated tonight before the show, and she has a question. Her son won an appeal, his termination and placement based on the ICWA failure to inquire, and won. She said, "I'm confused by the decision. It basically affirms that the appeal, but then does nothing." W-
That's probably not possible. You know, when you win an appeal, the Court of Appeals can direct a variety of things to happen. Um, so you have to look at the end of the appeal where they tell you, where the Court of Appeals tells you what they want done. And they could rule, if you win the appeal, they could rule from anything for just notice the tribe.
Right.
Or I've seen older decisions that say, you know, you screwed up, you didn't file ICWA, start the case all over again, and then anything in between. So it's in the opinion. I'd have to see the opinion. Um, has Gigi sent you a copy of the opinion?
No, I'm gonna ask. I told her after the show I'm gonna call her, so we decided to speak. But I gave her the link to the show so she can join, and as I did with other people, that reached out to me today.
Okay.
And now Deidre Payne wants to know, what are the deadlines for the writ to be filed?
The writ to where?
Huh?
What type of writ? To the Supreme Court, to the Court of Appeals, what?
Court of Appeals.
Well, I'm going to read a definition for you. In the case of common law writs or statutory writs for which no deadline is specified, there is no absolute deadline for filing the petition. However, you should file the petition as soon as possible, and in any event, not later than 60 days after the court makes the ruling that you are challenging in the petition. So, it depends on the type of writ.
She said when you lose the appeal. She just wrote that.
So when you lose the appeal in the Court of Appeals,
Yes.
in cases where there is no statutory deadline, the petition be filed within 30 days when challenging an action, or within 60 days. It depends on the type of the case. So if she's talking about a juvenile dependency case, I think you have to do it. Now, the interesting thing is I've heard different parts about the rule, either before the remediator issues or after the remediator issues. But I know one thing, because I just saw this happen to someone that I spoke to. They filed their writ late, and unbeknownst to me, there's sometimes a special rule for pro per writ filers. And the court seems to give, in some cases, not all, so don't rely on this, in some cases, you additional time to file your writ petition.
Okay.
Okay?
And so, okay.
Hold on a second. We've come to the end of the show. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do a question and answer. I have an 8 o'clock appointment, believe it or not. So we can pick this up tomorrow.
I'll
And
ask Cassandra.
if Deidre wants to come on the show and ask questions, we welcome her.
Deidre, we're gonna have you on the show. That's gonna be a 3-hour show, Mr. Davis.
Okay. All right, folks. We'll have everyone have a good night. Everyone, thank you for watching, and we will see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Will you ladies be joining me tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the plan.
Yes.
Yes.
We know how those plans can change every once in a while on a spur of the moment notice.
Oh, Mr.
Yeah.
Davis, you know it so well. So well.
All right.
I'll
So
be here.
everyone, because Miss Cassandra and Miss G say they're going to be here tomorrow.
No, I will. I will.
They may wake up on the wrong side of the bed.
Deidre said, "Be nice, Mr. Davis. Be nice. Be nice."
All right, folks. We'll see you tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Bye bye.